The Arbiter, aka Thel Vadam, possibly one of the most influential and fan-loved characters in the Halo universe. After Halo Combat Evolved's ending, Bungie wanted to find a way to take Halo to the next level, elevate its already crazy high expectations and blow the community away. But that promise didn't come without its fair share of development issues. I'm sure that we're all very well aware that Halo 2's development was, as it was classed, a development disaster, with Bungie only utilising 9 months out of their 3-year development cycle to complete this game in its entirety, showing off a trailer at E3 which took them 6 months alone to build, to have it scrapped a short time later because the original Xbox just couldn't handle the gameplay without it crashing and having frames dipping so low that it was almost unplayable. Bungie had 9 months to create something truly groundbreaking. Team members would literally have to live at the office and sleep under their desks, and severely risk their personal lives to get this game out on its deadline day. At the end of it, when the game finally did ship, it was one of the best campaign stories that Halo's had ever. Balancing was a bit of an issue in the game, especially with that legendary difficulty, and these guys were the cause of more chaos in the community than a scarab blast, but Halo 2 was truly something special, not just for the way that the game turned out, but the addition of a character that would go on to be the most iconic fan-loved character in Halo history. And that is Thel Vadam, or as we know him as, the Arbiter. Bungie did something that completely shook and shocked the Halo ecosystem at the time. Not just having a Halo game dedicated to the Master Chief. At the time, it was heresy. But when fans started to see the Covenant side of the story, it was extremely interesting, and that they operate in very similar ways to humanity, and it gives you that emotional connection towards some of the characters within the Covenant as well. And not just that, we also learn about things like their religious beliefs, one being the Great Journey, which has been referenced multiple times during Halo 2. And just generally more of an appreciation for the Covenant and the way that they work for characters like the Arbiter, Arbiter Vadam, who is the shipmaster, and Tartarus even, giving us one of our very first glimpse into the brutes and their motivations within Halo 2 as well. After Halo 2 had completed, Halo 3 was a game that everybody was extremely hyped for, not knowing at the time that you were going to be teaming up with the Arbiter throughout the campaign, and when finally finding that out in the first mission, my 7-year-old self fell off his gaming chair. Oh, shit! The Arbiter is such an iconic character in the Halo franchise, and dare I say it, he's been really underutilized in games since Bungie had essentially left the franchise. Yes, he was there in Halo 5, but not to how the fans would have wanted him to be there. It's not like Halo 2's or Halo 3 where he's a very main part of the story. The Arbiter was just kind of someone that you met along the way to reaching your goal with Chief and Locke. Alongside this too, newer fans to the Halo franchise might not even know who this absolutely legendary figure is. So I wanted to cover his lore today, where he grew up to where he is right now at this very moment. The Arbiter, better known as Thel Vadam, is the Sangheili Kaidan of the House of Vadam, and the last Arbiter to serve the Covenant. Presently, he leads the Swords of Sanghelios, an alliance of keeps modelled after an ancient order of the same name, and is considered by many to be the formal leader of all Sangheili. Thel commanded multiple fleets during his service in the Covenant, most notably the Fleet of Particular Justice, of which he was Supreme Commander. This fleet mounted a successful attack on the human colony of Reach under his command, and later fought the crew of the UNSC Pillar of Autumn on Installation 04, the first Halo ring to be discovered by the Covenant and humanity. Thel was responsible for over 1 billion human casualties over the course of the decade-long war against all of the humans, and of course the glassing of at least 7 human colonies. After the long battle on Installation 04, the first Halo ring from Combat Evolved, Thel ordered the evacuation of all ships from the ring towards the end of the game, where the Chief and Cortana were attempting to destroy it with the Pillar of Autumn's fusion reactors. The vessel exploded, destroying the Halo ring in the process. The Covenant and the Prophets of the time believed in something called the Great Journey, believing that these rings were somehow sacred, some form of religious artifact, and the fact that Thel's mission to take over the ring and eliminate humanity in the process had failed, resulting in, of course, the ring being destroyed, it was deemed as a colossal failure by the High Council. A meeting was held at High Charity soon after, and this was the famous cutscene we all know and love from the beginning of Halo 2. I'll play a little bit now for you guys.
Noble prophet of truth, this has gone on long enough. Make an example of this bungler. The Council demands it.
You are one of our most treasured instruments. Long have you led your fleet with honor and distinction. But your inability to safeguard Halo was a colossal failure.
Nay, it was heresy.
I will continue my campaign against the humans.
No, you will not.
The loss of the Holy Forerunner relic was an unforgivable failure in the eyes of the High Prophets and the Sangheili councillors. Vadan was stripped of his rank, title, name and honour, and branded a heretic for his failures to safeguard the sacred ring. The mark of shame was branded upon his chest, and he was sentenced to death. His corpse was to be hung by his entrails and paraded through the city of High Charity as an example to others that follow. The Hierarchs, however, had a different fate in mind for Thel. Upon being brought before the High Prophets and the Truth of Mercy, Thel was offered the choice of becoming the new Arbiter. Understanding that the office of Arbiter was in itself a death sentence, and was seeking to regain his honour, therefore, Thel accepted their offer. Throughout the story of Halo 2, after Thel became the Arbiter, he began to learn more around the Prophet's plans and more around the Great Journey, and that it wasn't exactly what it was made out to be. Vadam's first assignment as Arbiter was to stop the Heretics' uprising based on a Forerunner gas mine in the atmosphere of Threshold. It was here where the Arbiter was first told about the Prophet's lies, and that the Great Journey was not what it was made out to be. The Heretic then opened fire on the Arbiter, just as he was beginning to believe what he was saying, of course forcing the Arbiter to then go on and finish him off. In very high level, the Prophets believed that the fire in the Halo ring would mark the beginning of the Great Journey. This was the overall plan of the Prophets, and Tartarus towards the end of Halo 2 almost made this happen, using Miranda Keys as the Reclaimer to activate the ring. Once Tartarus was taken care of, the ring's activation was disarmed and the large light ball disappeared, and of course, the ring was deactivated. After this, and moving on to Halo 3, the Arbiter and humanity formed an alliance, and the Chief and the Arbiter began working together. Although it took a bit of getting used to, the two soldiers formed a bond with one another which would never be forgotten. The Arbiter became a leading figure amongst the Sangheili, and aided the United Nations Space Command in its efforts to stop the High Prophets of Truth and his forces from activating the Halo array from the Ark. He and many Sangheili fought in multiple battles alongside the Master Chief on Installation 05, Earth, and Installation 00 in the final weeks of the war. At the end of Halo 3, the Chief and the Arbiter escaped the flood-infested Halo ring on the Forward Until Dawn, entering a slipspace portal, slicing the ship into two pieces. The Arbiter returning safely to Earth, where all the fallen soldiers were remembered and commemorated. And of course the Chief and Cortana were left floating in space to be woken when he was needed. Fast forwarding onto Halo 5, the Arbiter was later named the leader of the Swords of Sanghelios, and Fire Team Osiris actually helped them take back Sanghelios at the time, in a battle named the Battle of Sunion. Of course, after Halo 3, the Arbiter returned to Sanghelios after the war's conclusion. Thel became a symbol of the Sangheli's honour and resilience in the face of betrayal. He attempted to unite the feudal states across his homeworld, informing the first coalition government since the War of the Beginnings. Despite his efforts, he met resistance from two Sangheili factions who felt that his ideals and beliefs went against the traditional Sangheili values of Forerunner worship, or that the peace treaty with the humans could not be trusted. This disagreement soon spilled over into civil war, and the Swords of Sanghelios became locked in conflict with other groups, primarily Julam Dharma's Covenant and Servants of the Abiding Truth. He led the Swords to victory over these two groups, thanks in part to assistance from the UNSC. And again, this was where the battle in Halo 5 took place. Towards the end of the game, the Chief returned to Sanghelios with Spartan Locke alongside him, to be greeted by his old foe the Arbiter, Dr. Halsey, and the remaining Sanghelios elites. The Chief introduced Blue Team to Thel, who proceeded to invite his friends and new arrivals to join on a celebratory meal commemorating their victory over the last Julam Dharma's Covenant. Thel and the Master Chief subsequently spent part of the night reminiscing about their past. Also, the Arbiter reassured the Chief in his support in the coming fight against the Created. The following day, the humans left the planet of Sankt Helios to rendezvous with the UNSC Infinity near Suban, one of the moons of Sankt Helios, leaving the Arbiter and the remnants of his fleet and elites on the world of Sankt Helios. Right now, the Arbiter is on the planet Sankt Helios, still, as he was at the end of Halo 5. They'll both be partnering up together in with a brand new book by Troy Denning coming out called Halo Outcasts, which I'm very excited for. Essentially, the book revolves around the Arbiter fighting together on the world of Sankt Helios against other factions in the world, and also Cortana's created army, which at the time is in full force. This might also give us more information on other characters that we don't really see in Halo Infinite, such as characters like Locke and other members of Fireteam Osiris, and even other members of the Covenant like Artas. So yes, very excited for that book to come out and to do a deep dive into the lore, but for now, we're just going to have to be curious. But that's the story of the Arbiter, one of the most fan favourite characters in the Halo universe. I want to make this a series and go through some of the best characters in the universe in general, tell the lore of those characters and the stories of how they grew up and where they are right now, and then move on to things like the Forerunners, the Flood, and other factions as well, just to give all of those newcomers to Halo a place that they can learn and a place that is fairly easy to understand exactly what's happening. So I hope that this series does do that. If you guys do have any tips down below though on ways to make this series a bit better, do let me know. I'm very open to constructive criticism, and if there's anything that you guys would like me to do to structure it better, then do let me know. Leave a like if you enjoyed, guys. Subscribe if you're brand new. Speak soon, and take care.